I know you.
Well, hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Misti Cooper here for SpiritualXTC Enterprise, and we're once again up here on the rooftop, and boy oh boy, are we delighted, and do we have a treat for you tonight, I'm telling you. We have got an extraordinarily gifted being with us tonight, Mr. Josh Siegel. Woo! I wish we had like clapping. I wish we had an audience around.
I feel it far. It's around.
I can put the clapping in.
Yeah.
It's the sound of one hand clapping. That's the sound.
Just being introduced to Josh for the first time. He is one of the foremost authorities on numerology, and he's been featured on the History Channel, the hit series Decoded. He's also an expert for Fox News, CBS News, as well as the LA Times. I mean, the man's accolades go on and on, longer than my arm. You know, for those of you that don't know what numerology is, I'm going to give you a quick little nut. It is an ancient science that has the power to crack the code of your life, and oh my, is Josh the master at that.
Remember my background, these scholars and academics, you have to prove what you say. With numbers, I found that perfect balance between science and spirituality, which I reside in. It's like I'm an old friend. I know you already. I understand why you do what you do. I help you to break through, because we can't see outside of our lives. We get so stuck in things. And what I do is go, okay, let me take you outside of that and show you what the map is, what the matrix is, what the code is to your life. And then everything becomes clear.
Yeah, see, that turns me on right there, what you just said. I'm like, oh my God, talk to me some more. Hit me with some more quantum physics.
When I was figuring out what my path was in life, when I started to perfect the system, it realized in my own numbers I should be doing this. And I said, oh my God, this makes so much sense. I never took life at face value, even though I grew up in a very sort of scientifically validated, sort of scholarly, academic kind of approach to life. Skeptical.
Yeah.
My mother was a professor at UCLA. My mother actually is, this is so funny. I was adopted, and my mother was a German Jew whose family escaped from Nazi Germany in the late 30s.
Wow,
you might recognize her last name, Einstein.
Shut up.
I'm telling you.
You know that I have a thing.
Do you really?
For Albert Einstein.
Al is the man, am I right?
Oh my God.
He ultimately became quite spiritual later on in life. After he saw sort of the workings of nature, he said this couldn't possibly be an accident. And which I love about him. My parents were quite older when they adopted me, so there was this old school thinking and the intellectuals. In fact, my mother was good friends with Joseph Campbell, who wrote all those amazing books on mythology
and consciousness.
And he'd be at the house. I thought this guy was this old stuffy guy. I would do anything to go back in time and pick this guy's brain. I just didn't know who he was.
You didn't know. I read one of Carolyn Mays' books, and it was all about the contracts that we have basically signed before we were born on this planet.
That's right.
And we have signed these contracts to play all of these roles, whatever the archetypal role is that we signed up for.
That's right. And what I've done is I've spent years and years and years proving that we are encoded with that matrix in our childhood. It's interesting. I do have a wide variety of clientele, but I'm most interested in people who are complex psychologically, because I love it turns me on, and that's what I want to bring out in people is their higher purpose. It's not the things that come easy that bring us meaning in life. It's the struggles, it's the tension, the challenge, it's the transformation that brings our higher purpose in. That is a secret to life that I tell you is the truth. And I can prove it. My readings can sometimes get really funny and weird. And
oh my God, his readings are amazing. No, he is cutting edge, extremely witty, can be really sarcastic, and at the same time, he will just wrap his arms around you and love you like you need to be loved.
I couldn't have said it better myself. You just brought up a very good point about the sort of irreverent, sarcastic personality in the readings. I'm not Mr. New Age.
Well, you're not foo-foo.
I'm not foo-foo.
You're not the, like, oh, and they,
Yes. I like to ground things in reality, and the work that I do, when people have a session with me, the first 30 minutes, I don't get any information from you at all. I actually break down your chart for you because I want to establish the accuracy of the system, but I also want to show you about your developmental process, where you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and where you are now. And that's why I go back in time. And it's not crystal ballish, as you know. These are
Right.
these are powerful events in your
Right.
life that have an effect on who you are. And then we talk about how we've grown and evolved and how to be aware about the future influences. It's the developmental process. But you know, I'm very much into humor. I believe that humor is a beautiful way for people to look at themselves and not take things so seriously. We can learn to have a beautiful relationship with our struggles in life, because that's what the human experience is all about. I think everyone is incredibly special. In fact, I prove conclusively, factually, that everyone is special. I sit down with people and I see the incredible beauty of it. That's, every soul is so sacred and so beautiful, and I get so excited about the transformation of a person. And it's not about how famous they are or how much money they are or the CEOs. It's about what they're going through and how they're making, this incredible transformational process happen in their life. And I'm helping them, and I'm seeing the real results. And that, to me, you want to talk about sexy? That is way more sexy than anything else in this world for me.
Well, that's also because you're utilizing the power of your mind and the power of your heart. That is what is so sexy. Question, you kind of touched upon this earlier.
Okay.
And saying how you always were attracted to numbers, were basically possessed by numbers. Was this in childhood, or was this something that you kind of gradually, came to you? And how did you choose, of all things, numerology?
I think that inherently I was different than my parents. Not just because I was adopted, but I was different than them, in the sense that I sensed and felt a kind of mysterious force. I can't really explain it, but I didn't take things at face value. I always felt like there was something else happening, but I wasn't raised to believe in new age things and just, I don't know, these airy-fairy concepts. But the work that I do really is a code, and it is mathematical, and it is, a process where I perfected it from research, trial and error, just like any scientist would.
Right.
But I think what happened is I think it started through, I grew up in a Jewish family, and if I was going to get into something mystical or off the deep, beaten path, it was Kabbalah. Or what ecstasy is to me is taking a person who has really, up until now, not understood what they've been doing, what plays out in their life, what their process is, and break it wide open, where they can suddenly make incredibly healthy, informed decisions in their life that literally change their life drastically, in a matter of weeks, months, or when I sit there and I bring something up and someone suddenly has an aha moment. That aha moment where they suddenly have a recognition and it literally transforms their life on the spot. I have never seen anything so fascinating, remarkable, and beautiful as that. That is ecstasy to me. It's the process whereby we become understanding of ourselves. That power of being able to be such a catalyst for people is ecstasy for me. It really is. And that's what drives me to do what I do.
See, folks, how beautiful is that? How could you resist this man? I mean, that's the type of spiritual ecstasy that could turn anyone on. And for those of you who maybe have not had a reading, where can they find you, Josh?
Well, you can do two things. You can go to my website, joshcode.com, because it is a code.
Tonight has been the gold, and you've been able to drink it, and you've been able to experience it, and we're going to toast the gold right now.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. Please stay tuned, and we're going to be back live. Spiritual ecstasy. Your energy.
Well, everyone loves you, I know that much.
Hey, this is Rebecca Drew. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page at Spiritual Ecstasy Enterprise. Make sure you check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Spiritual_XTC. Keep in touch and let us know what your spiritual ecstasy is. We're sending love your way.